Alright guys, here is part 2 of the video, just so I can get started. Okay, so here just to kind of review real fast. I'm not a fan of opening this here at 2550 just because, you know, as I've mentioned before, we don't really stand to gain anything picking up, 75 chips. So I don't open here. Antes, I can understand it a little bit more. There's a little bit more to gain compared to the size of our stack, but we're not there yet. So it holds true for here too, and I like opening this better. We have two guys to go through. We have Jack High for more of a top pair type of hand. We have more showdown value with Jack High, and of course, and then it's suited. Jack High suited. So here, yeah, it's suited. It's connector, but really no showdown value. Top pair really doesn't do us shit here, and we have three guys to go through, so it's just kind of a worse hand overall. I understand that they're tight, so like stealing and stuff, but again, it's just not enough chips to pick up, so I just go ahead and let it go. Okay, so here, I don't mind calling here if we're going to donk the flop or something, because this guy's so tight that I really don't want to. I mean, they're probably a lot of these guys, at these limits are probably tight passive, so you can definitely, as long as you pick up the aggression first, it's probably fine. But he is tight, so his range is probably, I would guess it's ahead of ace-9. So I would definitely donk here, and I would donk probably just a little over half pot, so what's that, like 135 or so? So you probably make it like 150, 160. But when, like, as soon as you give him the opportunity to c-bet, there's really nothing we can do. We're out of position, it's really awkward. Floating here, I think would just be retarded. I would definitely donk out first, if you're going to play the hand at all. Yeah, I wouldn't even do anything here either. Yeah. Okay, so I'd make it 150. Yep. Yeah. Okay, so a couple weird things about this. One, I don't like the really funny raise. Like, it's almost like he's tight and you're just trying to get him to come along. I think one, that's, to some players, it's almost kind of face up, depending on how many tables he's playing and, how much, he's paying attention. Two, given the fact that he's so tight, like, he's just going to fold, like, so much of his range. You're only going to get action probably from, pairs and, like, probably most aces, most, ace rags type hands, and then, stronger kings. So he's probably only playing like, what, 15-20% or something from the big blind. And he's folding out everything else. I wouldn't mind like a limp here. And you do take the risk of being kind of outflop by ace or king high, but I just don't think it happens enough. You might also get him to try to play back at you a little bit, to where if you limp, he repops you, and then you can flat and see a flop. It's definitely a little bit, probably a little bit more awkward, but you might get a little bit more value that way. This isn't to say this is a bad way of playing it, but if you are going to raise from the small blind, I'd probably just go ahead and 3x it like you have every other time. So, everything's just kind of blended, and I might try limping here sometimes just to see if I can induce some sort of action. I don't do anything here either. Again, it's all for the same reason. I just don't really see the point in it. You're just not picking up enough chips when he's still there. Here, I'd probably just jam it. I mean, he's got under 10 bigs. He can't really expect to like 3-bet stuff you here. Another 800, and you'd call 6. So you'd be getting like 2-to-1 from the blinds, like, and he's probably reshoving like fairly wide, being under 10 bigs. So I would just go ahead and jam it. I mean, it's not like you like you'd probably fold or anything, but I just think you would probably get him to call off a little bit lighter, shoving it. So, yeah, fold here too. Okay, so right around here, I'm going to go ahead and 2x it. I don't mind like a 2 1/4 or 2.5 exit. As I was saying earlier, though, it's I prefer doing this because steals are more profitable because they're costing less for you to steal. Steals are also less expensive when you're caught. Also, when you min raise, because I know there's going to be a lot of arguments or a lot of opinions on it, so I'm just going to go through everything. Also, when you min raise, or just a little over min raise, your C bets are smaller. It's harder for guys to reshove on you too when you have reshove stacks. Because right when you start getting around 15%, 20% of someone's stack size, you guys start being concerned about reshoves. But when you raise a little bit less, then it's not as, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but guys just don't want to reshove nearly as much. There's just not enough dead money in the pot. So I think it's a good habit to get into personally, but I realize that part of it's personal preference too, but I think I can think of more good reasons or more benefits to min raising than negatives, I guess, to it. Guys don't play back at you or flat because it's cheaper as much as you think they would. They might have the blinds, but again, a lot of times you're going to be in a position then you see bet and game over. So I just suggest you try it. Just try it for a couple games or something and see how you like it. You'll find that you actually get to play more too, which everyone seems like. So let's see here, nothing. Okay. I thought this is when that guy shoved. This guy does some sort of really retarded shove later on. Thought that was it, but it's not. Here I just shove. It's the same reason as before, or actually, instead of shoving, you might just limp and see if you can get him to tool out and reshove, thinking he has fold equity. Actually, I think I almost like a limp better. Because if you shove, then obviously you maximize your fold equity. A raise is just kind of like, you're never folding, and he knows it. So I think my preferred play here is to limp, and then I would shove, and then I would raise. I don't think I ever raise. You're just only going to get action by hands that, he's probably going to have like King 10, King Jack or better, probably, maybe King 9. Yeah, King 9, King 10, suited, something around there. All his pairs, he's going to have a real hand, whereas like you might get him to tool with like a suited connector or something. Alright, so fold. No antes in play. We don't do anything here. 375 sign. We're obviously going to call off the 54 musty. The guy in the button. I don't think anyone's really going to shove other than that. Oh, yeah, probably don't bother. If there was antes here, it's much closer, but there's not, so. I wouldn't mind an open here. Being six-handed, you can start kind of picking up the pace a little bit. A lot of guys don't know how to adjust fast enough to six-handed play. So I would definitely open and then go ahead and see that. And I would just make it 300, or I know you've been making it 375. These are the spots, though, really, I can't stress it enough. If you start making it like 300 here, then, someone flats, let's say the big blind flats you, then you can make it like 400. So then so then it only costs you like 700 chips instead of costing you something closer to 800 chips by the time everything's said and done. So anyway, a fold's fine. Just a thought. With enough dead money, it's probably just a steal. 540 chips in the middle, 25% of our stack. You could reshove here. I'm not saying it's mandatory. Again, it's just one of those things you can just think about. You do have enough chips with like 13 big blinds or so you don't have to do anything there. But it's just a thought. Same thing here. If he was suited, I'd probably be more inclined to do so, especially since he opened the last hand. Of course, it looks like you might have ran into something, which would have been gross, but happens. Alright, looks like we got about 3 more minutes. It looks like this is almost going to be like a 4-part video. I think this would be, maybe it's not very close. I don't know, I'd be kind of tempted, but he's going through all the guys under the gun, so I'd be pretty tempted to reshove that, and I might. Some of this is obviously going to be, probably HUD dependent. Here, if he did it, I'd probably rejam. Here, I jam, I don't raise. Like, if he reshoves, if he flat to, it's super gross. Because you don't really have a pot size shove on the flop. So then you're trying to c-bet, and you really don't have a whole lot. Like, he's never going to fold the turn if he doesn't jam or doesn't jam the flop and he just calls. Like, you're never going to get him to fold the turn almost. So I would just jam it here. Same. If you're going to do anything here, I would do the same thing. I don't like a raise at all. All of these guys can re-jam on you, and then you're kind of in a gross spot. I mean, you can fold here with 1,600 chips, like 8 big blinds, and play, especially since the structure is so much slower, but I just prefer a jam. Same thing here. I actually like a raise here more than I do the last 2 spots, just because you can fold and actually have 10 bigs, and it's not such a big deal. So I definitely like that much more, and be more inclined to do so there. You can limp stab here. I don't know if you know exactly what that is. Kind of like a go and go of sorts. You basically just limp in for another 100. He just checks it back, and then you just stab the flop. And I generally do like min, really, or just a hair over min, and it's generally enough. I don't mind a raise if he's really tight, but limp stab works well too. Mixes it up, so you can go either way. You can open here if you want, make it 500, being 6-handed, ace high, I think it's fine. Almost the same thing here, you can almost do if you want to open there as well. I open up much more 6-handed, also I think we're going to get pretty close to the bubble pretty soon. And I definitely get much tighter here, same thing, you can limp stab. I wouldn't raise just because, obviously he can reshove and then you gotta fold, it's just kind of gross. But you can limp stab up there if you want. Definitely open, like it. I make it 500 personally, but it's just me. Or no, excuse me. No, you can make it, I guess 200. Yeah, you can make it 400. Yeah, so that's probably, yeah, because I'm mid-raise it generally, so that's fine. Yeah, so 4 to 500, anyway. Okay, so 435, he calls. This overbet looks like you're scared. I would just do a standard bet, get it in. Bet like 600 or something. I mean, yeah, he's still probably going to come along with draws and stuff, but I don't know if he's really going to come along with like, a 9, whereas like if you bet 600, like, looks smaller, like a little bit weaker, he might. But the way it is, it just looks scared, so I don't really care for it. Okay, it looks like we're at 14 minutes, so we're going to fold here. No. Okay, so we're going to come back to that one. So we're going to leave off the 7 or 10-7. Okay, so we'll just be right back.